Blog Talk Radio.
I'm the player that you're talking about.
But do you really think that you can work it out?
I guarantee you, shorty, it's real. Baby, stick it out. Here comes the man of steel.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to episode 6 of The Good, the Bad, and the Scandalous. I'm joined by my co-host, April. Are you there?
What up? I'm here. Ready to talk about these goats.
Yes, the fantastic goat. My name is Apollonia, a.k.a. the Astrology Lady, member of the Cosmic Council Radio Network. And I guess you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
And I am April. I go by Pisces Moon Goddess on all my social media outlets. And I'm also an intuitive astrologer, member of the Cosmic Council.
Yeah. So, same here. And I guess tonight, typically how we start the show, if you're new to this particular episode or this particular show, we have been going through the male or the men signs of the zodiac. We've been through Aries, Taurus, Pisces, Aquarius, Gemini, and now Cappy. Typically we start out with the good, meaning the good traits or qualities of a Capricorn or whatever sign we're discussing. And then we start swaying off into the bad and scandalous and extra ratcheteer things that these fellas can do at times. So the format will be the same. Site is in the works, as most of you know. We are seeking affiliates. If you are interested in moving your program to our network, hit us up at questions@thecosmiccouncil.com. Okay, so this is the mission statement of the Cosmic Council Network. So just all ears to the audience. The Cosmic Council is dedicated to the teachings of astrological, metaphysical, esoteric, and spiritual knowledge. The members of this council pride themselves on keeping an open-minded approach while spreading love, light, and wisdom in the name of Aquarian unity. We are a group of diverse astrologers, intuitives, metaphysicians, and passionate affiliates. We all come with a broad voice that we are eager to share with the world from a creative, fun, rich, and powerful perspective. Of course, we all have our own flair, spin, and unique way of expressing ourselves creatively. Our goal is to speak to those that are rarely spoken to or for, say the things that are rarely stated, uncover the things that are usually hidden to bring light. We feel that it is our responsibility as light bearers to provide counsel, insight, and foresight to those seeking to know thyself. Like air, we hover over a situation with you to assist in viewing the bigger picture. Like earth, we help you dissect the most needed pieces in order to create a practical plan. Like water, we cleanse, we heal, we quench your thirst. We seek to explore every emotion with you by getting to the root cause. Like fire, we ignite, motivating you to take actionable steps for the greater good. We take our duties here at the council seriously, and we stand by them diligently. So, now that that's out of the way, a disclaimer for this show that we always spit out. Be mindful of your spouse's entire chart. When we speak on a sign, we're not just pinpointing a man that has his sun sign in Capricorn. It could be him too, but he can also have a Capricorn moon, or he can have a Capricorn rising, or he could have a stellium of planets in the sign of Capricorn, meaning 3 or more planetary energies condensed in the sign of Capricorn. Or he could have a stellium in the 10th house in his natal chart. So be mindful when you're looking at your man's chart. Say, for example, if you're dating a guy that's a Capricorn, but he happens to have a Gemini stellium. You may want to listen to the Gemini segment as well, or the Gemini show that we did previously, because more than likely he has a lot of Gemini traits impacting his Capricorn shell or his Capricorn exterior. So we just wanted to throw that out there, and typically we ask each other. So April, have you had any experiences or dated any Capricorn men?
I'm currently with a Capricorn man. I'm married to a Capricorn man. Well, he's a Capricorn rising. His rising sign is Capricorn.
Mm-hmm.
And he also has a 10th house stellium. And also, to get extra nerdy and astrological, he has Saturn. The ruler of his ascendant is in the 10th sign also. So he's like uber Capricorn. But his sun sign is Cancer. He's got planets in Cancer, planets in Gemini, but he's got that Capricorn energy too that kind of overpowers those energies. So that's why, just as Apollonia said, you need to look at your man's whole chart, because when I first met him, I saw his birthday and I was like, he's a Cancer. Oh my God, I need to run the other way. When we get to Cancer men on our next show, I will explain why I said that when I met this man. I have stories for days about Cancer. So
yes, we both have stories for days with Cancer.
Oh, yes,
that's going to be another hot one, like Gemini.
I'm sure there'll be a part 2.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So when I first saw I stalked him on Facebook when I first met him, and to look for his birthday, and I was like, Cancer, damn, like, I don't think I could do this. He's gonna be whining and crying and following behind me and calling me constantly, and oh my God, I can't do it. But to my surprise, I gave him a chance, and he wasn't like that. This is before I really knew how to read charts, full charts. I knew sun signs very well at that time, though. And so, yeah, I've been with a Capricorn man for 7 years now, 7 interesting but wonderful years. So I have some experiences to share, yes. So what about you, App?
Well, my ex is a Capricorn moon, and we were together for 7 years. He was a Sag Cap moon, and then I tried to jar my memory. I went on maybe 2 dates with a Capricorn sun, and I think he was a Scorpio moon. And I'll talk about that experience too. And those are the only 2 that I can think of.
Now I have a couple other Capricorns that I had relationships with, but they weren't they weren't serious dating. One of them, Capricorn is my 3rd house, and for those who don't know, the 3rd sign from your sign rules siblings and really buddy relationships. So I had one Capricorn that I had a really good brother-sister relationship with, and to this day, I'm like, he was one of the dopest friends I've ever had. So I feel like Capricorn energy is like sibling to me, and I actually, my sister is a Capricorn, and Apollonia, you're a Capricorn, and I always tell you remind me of my sister. Like Capricorns remind me of family, and including the men. Like that energy is family-like to me, brotherly, sisterly. But then there was one that I had a buddy relationship with, but he was really fine, and he was like one of the ones that got away in my life, and maybe I'll talk about him when we share our experiences. Yeah. He was dope.
Yeah, she always tells me I remind her of her sister, and I always ask her, "You sure you never had a Cappy?" Because usually Cappies and Tauruses are like thick as thieves. Like they make perfect couples in relationships.
Yeah.
Like they could be the power couple. So usually they seek each other out and like kind of stay stuck to one another. So yeah, he probably was the one that got away. April, yeah.
Mm.
So I guess we can go ahead and jump right into the good things that we have to say about Capricorn fellas.
Certainly. Okay, so the good about Capricorn men. And once again, I always give the disclaimer as well that if you don't find the traits that we deem, quote-unquote, good or bad as being good or bad to you with your personal experiences with the men of these signs, you have to look at your chart. Like I said, Capricorn is my third house of siblings, and buddy. So maybe Capricorn lands in a different area of your own personal birth chart where you have a different relationship and a different perspective of them. But so this is very general. Okay, disclaimer done. Okay, so the good about Capricorn men. Well, I'll tell you what. Especially with me being a very earthy person who is all about stability. If you would like a man that has stability and earthy qualities, like they're all about the security of your finances, Capricorn men are very, very good, generally speaking, about Capricorn energy, very good with money. They're very serious about money, about business, about goals. Most of them don't want to be some bum just kind of couch surfing. You can guarantee that a man that has a lot of Capricorn energy will be on some sort of path towards success, or they will have some sort of goal that they're working on, not just talking about it. They're actually trying to climb the ladder of success in some sort of way. Because Capricorn, it's the goat, the mountain goat. They say the sea goat too, okay? But if you've seen pictures of mountain goats, there's ones out there where there's like a tree full of goats. I was going to say Capricorns, but like a tree full of goats, and it's like, how did they get there? Or they're like, they're all scattered on these mountains that are like really, really difficult. And that's why Capricorn is represented by that, because these men will climb the ladder. They will work very hard to achieve career success and to make a mark in the world and to make themselves known, not known in a flashy way like Leo, to where it's like, I am the king and I'm the shit and look at my hair and, look what I'm wearing. Not like that. The Capricorn men are a lot more subtle with their flash and stuff. They like the finer things. If you are a woman who likes name brand, likes quality, likes the finer things in life, well, what's quote-unquote the finer things? Meaning things that have a high value. Capricorn men are usually into those things too. Usually they like watches, because they're ruled by Saturn, which is Father Time. So they like good quality watches. They will buy you gifts that are usually name brand or not quote-unquote cheap. But Jeffree Star, who is, if those who don't know who Jeffree Star is, he's a makeup artist. He's got his own makeup brand. He's been in a lot of controversial gossip crap, which I don't pay attention to. I don't believe in all that stuff. But anyway, Jeffree Star, he has his own brand. He reviews makeup products on his YouTube channel. When he does, I notice that he will critique name brand, very expensive, high-end skincare and makeup products, and he always comments on how things are heavy. It feels heavy, and he loves that. He loves packaging that is very exquisite, and it took time and effort. He's a Capricorn moon, and so I'm like, oh, that's why he's all about high-end. People say, it's because he's so... No, he's a Capricorn moon. They're about the top notch. They don't like things that are cheap, flimsy, too light and too, breakable, easily breakable and all that stuff. So Capricorn men are into quality material things. So if you're a woman who's like, hey, I need a man to buy me Gucci and, these purses, Louis Vuitton and all that stuff, Louis Vuitton, whatever. I don't buy that shit, so I don't know. Louis Vuitton. Okay, I think that's how you pronounce it. Okay. And Louboutin shoes, a red bottom tag. Okay, your Capricorn man, he may buy you stuff like that because he has an eye for quality. What else is good about Cap? So Capricorn men are usually pretty traditional in their roles and relationships, unless they have, of course, a sprinkle of like Aquarius or some other energies in their chart. But Capricorn is very traditional. Like, the man wants to take care of home and wants to protect the woman and the family. He wants to be the main provider, the main breadwinner. He wants, so if you're a woman that's into the traditional roles, like, the man has to open doors for me. The man has to, pull my chair out, and he has to be the main one paying for things and all that stuff. A lot of times the Capricorn men will be in that traditional role. They don't like messy displays in public. That means, like, they're not into fighting in public. They're not into, like ratchetness. So if you're a woman interested in a Capricorn man, usually Capricorn men, they don't really like types of women who are a little more outlandish and non-traditional with their looks and, like, trashy looking. My husband, it's, I'm a little more like Uranian and out there and stuff. I like to color my hair like crazy colors, and I think I'm a mermaid and all that crazy Uranian crap and Pisces stuff. He doesn't really dig that. When I've shown him pictures, just to kind of test how the level of Capricornness that he exudes, I showed him pictures of women with rainbow hair and all that. And I'm like, babe, I want to do this with my hair. What do you think? And he kind of turned his nose up at that, like, oh my God, that's preposterous. Oh my God, and I'm like, of course. That's what Capricorn men remind me of. They remind me of, like, those traditional old, like, British men, like, like prim and proper, like, with their button-up suits. And, that's another thing. Capricorn men's, usually, see, Capricorn is the sign of business. Capricorn men are the ones that usually look the best, like, in suits, dressed up. Dressed up in suits, dressed up in, the tie and, like, the cufflinks and, like, and Capricorn is a sign that rules the teeth. So Capricorn men usually have very nice teeth, very nice smiles. Ooh. Mm-hmm. Yes, I know, Apollonia. Oh, I'm sorry if I took that one from you. I know you wanted to talk about that.
No, it's no problem. But yeah, I'm a Cap son myself, so yeah, teeth are cool. The teeth are cool. Yeah, they usually have a nice smile. Think Tyrese. Tyrese is a Capricorn man. He has very nice teeth. And we presume that T.I. may be a Capricorn rising. He has very nice teeth. He looks pretty Capricornish to us. So yeah, if you want stability, if you like stable, Capricorn men are usually pretty stable, traditional, very manly, masculine. It's an earth sign, and earth signs are said to be feminine, but they're very masculine. Okay, so I'm running out of material, so I'll pass the mic. No, it's all right. You did good. You covered most of the awesome stuff about them. LL Cool J, and our intro ode was to one of the famous GOATs of all time, greatest of all time.
Oh yeah.
He has nice teeth. Yeah, usually women who are, say for example, if you're used to dating guys that are like always in between jobs and really bummy, like April said, these guys are really hard workers and they tend to keep a job, sometimes 2 and 3 jobs. Like Capricorns are very into having multiple streams of income, and they are the type that will climb the corporate ladder, and they're very observative because they will climb the corporate ladder very quickly, and they will take notes to potentially do things for themselves, or either take those notes from one company and go to another company and, exhibit some of the things that could work for another company that they could excel in. So I'm saying that to say sometimes they may seem like they're bouncing around from job to job, but really they have a strategic plan in their mind of what they're doing. Capricorns are awesome planners. So that's another thing. If you're a really spontaneous girl, a Cap man is more of a planner. He is not. Well, say, for example, if he does call you out on a whim and say, hey, let's go out and do this and this and that, he may not have let you in on it, but he had already planned this maybe days ahead that he was going to surprise you and take you here or take you there. They do show love by giving you things or buying you things. And a lot of times I notice with Cap men, they will buy you things that they like, quality things like that they like or that they would like to see you in. So that can be iffy sometimes. Because, say, for example, if he's in the store and he happens to see some expensive red bottoms that he would like to see you in, he would get them just because he would like to see you in them, opposed to you actually liking them. Because Capricorns they're very finicky with their taste buds, and I think that's why they gel so well with Tauruses, because Tauruses like quality just as much as Capricorns do. Rarely will you see a Cap buying off-brand something or another. It could be oatmeal. He's going to get the Quaker Oats with the Quaker dude on the box. And he's not going to get the store brand. He wants the Quaker Oat guy. That's just how Cappies think. And in their mind, the Quaker Oat guy tastes better. So, yeah, you guys think about stuff like that. He may seem bougie, but it's just that he has an air to him that exudes quality. They're usually, like we said, really good providers. They're usually pretty decent family men, but their time can be divided in between work and family. And they can really be those type of stiflers that will explain to you, like, look, if you want to keep this humbled abode that we're in, you got to let me do my work so that I can keep everyone happy. So they definitely can overcompensate with materialistic things opposed to actual love or time. So that's something to think about if you're interested in getting with a Cappy guy. He may come off as a workaholic. Anything else? Cappies are really good teachers. They are very good teachers, and they're usually we'll get to that part when we get to the bad. But they make very good teachers, whether it be in a cynical asshole kind of way or a teaching kind of way. But, Cappies can turn everything into a teachable moment. And I'm trying to think. I think we kind of treaded a lot of weight with the good things about them. They will definitely step in charge if you need them to help you. You might get a little lecture, but they will help if they can. They're probably very into building a legacy because Saturn rules them. So Saturn is very concerned about their legacy, their offspring, those that will come after them. So that can make them really good fathers, grandfathers, thinking about preparing or setting up a healthy nest egg for their offspring to come after them. I think that's it, unless you had something else to add, April.
Yeah, I
might
do.
stumble upon something else in my mind.
So, I did have other things. So Capricorn men are usually pretty good family men because they are the opposite sign of Cancer. Cancer rules family, it rules nurturing, motherhood. So if Capricorn's the opposite that balances that out, they also rule family, but more the fatherhood aspect, like Apollonia mentioned, like the traditional, they're like the traditional father, worried about their legacy. So they will be the type that's really into family history because Capricorn energy is all about being a historian. So they'll be the ones that are like, my grandfather, was in World War II, therefore my dad was in Vietnam, and therefore that's why I joined the military. A lot of Capricorn men, men with Capricorn energy end up joining the military as well. Capricorn rules military. So, yeah, they'll be the ones kind of
uniform services in general. Services in general, yeah. Say if they come from a legacy of cops or firefighters, it could be uniform services. Sorry, just wanted to add that.
Yeah. Oh, no, thank you. Yeah, because that's absolutely true. Anything you can imagine, like, yeah, that uniform with badges and honors and all that stuff, that's what Capricorn rules. So a lot of those men, they do end up being in the military, end up being policemen, and, you know, those type of careers. And, yeah, it's usually because their family, like their forefathers were into it. So they are into family traditions. You know, they're really into, like, those family get-togethers, you know, like Sunday dinners, if that's a tradition in family, or like getting together on holidays every year as a tradition and kind of preserving family tradition. They're really into stuff like that. So I feel like that's why Capricorn men, they prefer a woman to be more classy and more traditional, because they are really into the woman that they can bring home to their family and, you know, intermingle with their family without them being like, you know, ratchet or trashy and like wild and, you know, ass hanging out of their dress and all that stuff. Like, how can I bring her home to my family? You know, that they probably think stuff like that when they're choosing their women. So, and yeah, I do notice that about my Capricorn man. There's certain things that, well, I'm a Scorpio rising, so there are some things I like to wear that's, you know, a little on the sexy side. But I'm very, like, reserved with that side of myself. I reserve that for my man. So there's times where we'll have a date night and I want to wear something kind of sexy for him. And he's kind of like, ew, it's showing too much. And I don't wear anything with a bunch of stuff busting. I'm a small woman anyway, but I don't wear a lot of revealing stuff. It's just, maybe it might be kind of tight and slinky or something. And a lot of those dresses I have, he doesn't like them. He doesn't like me wearing those tight, slinky dresses and, you know, this lingerie. He doesn't really care for stuff like that. He thinks it's trashy. And I have these pants. I love them. Like, because of my Uranian side, these vinyl pants that are very shiny, just black vinyl. Looks like I'm wearing a record or something. And they're very tight. They would kind of remind me of the 80s and, like, rock, you know, that rock era. I'm really into that. The hair bands and shit. Like, I love it. I love that look. But he totally dissed my vinyl pants. So I hardly ever wear them because he thinks that they're just so atrocious. Oh, my God. You know? So I hardly wear them. So Capricorn men usually are not into revealing clothes, too flashy, what they deem as trashy. They like a woman to dress okay, like think of a Cancer woman, like in a, you know, they like, you know, stuff like that. I'm kind of tongue tied because of Mercury retrograde, but you know what I'm saying, or like
just a little bit conservative, yeah.
Yeah, a little conservative and traditional for a woman, like a 1950s style dress with the collar and, you know, stuff like that. You know, they might like that better. Yeah, the teaching part is good. Can be good or bad. We'll get into the bad, yeah. Capricorn.
Yeah, I think you did. You hit the nail on the head with the good traits of the Cap. So now we can tread way into the bad. Now, like I said, I was with the Cap Moon for 7 years, and that was really trying. And I'm going to have to say, because, so with what I noticed about the bad with Capricorn Moon, they can talk down to you or sneer at you when they feel like you are exhibiting quote-unquote stupid or silly behavior. And in the beginning, you know, I really didn't say much about it, but towards getting into years of being with this person, you're like, hey, are you trying to fucking chump me? Like, are you trying to play me when you're talking to me like that? The sneering and the condescending tone can be very belittling when it comes from a Cap guy because, well, and I don't want to say that they intend to make you feel stupid, but maybe they do. On a dark side or negative side, they may intend to make you feel stupid, because a lot of times if I said or did something that he felt was stupid or silly, he would look at me and repeat it back to me and, like, squint his eyes, like, did you hear what you just said? Like, it was very, like, you know, it was very scolding, like I was a child. And I really didn't like that aspect of being with a Capricorn person, because it was like, I'm not your child, I'm your and B, why do you have to talk to me like that instead of just speaking in a regular tone? Why do you have to condense your tone to such a belittling tone? The whole entire demeanor changes as if they're speaking to an idiot. And so that I don't like. And acting like they are the more mature one in the union all the time, or that they are the ones with most of the sense in the union all of the time. You know, just basically acting like you're the fucking dodo brain, or they're pinky and you're the brain, or they're the brain and you're pinky. They're the brain and you're pinky in the union, and they constantly remind you of that. So I don't like that aspect of it. So the other thing, I really got annoyed with the entire experience of constantly talking about money, just constantly talking about work, talking about money. And me being a more creative person, I used to tell him all the time, like, I don't want to just keep on talking about work and money, and things that you are looking forward to buying or investing in. I don't want to keep talking about that.
Right.
So that can be very boring and annoying. And I would always say, like, well, you know, I don't just want to live the rest of my life to pay bills and go to work. But to a Capricorn moon, what are you talking about? That life, like, they pour themselves into that because that's what they love, that's what they enjoy. So being a creative person or a more spontaneous, freedom-loving person, that can be kind of difficult for a Capricorn person to understand, especially if your hobby or your creative habits aren't really bringing you any stability or money. Because in a Capricorn's mind, if it doesn't make money, it doesn't make sense. And being a Cap Sun, I can understand that to an extent. Another thing that was bad that I would notice about Capricorns was the fact that the workaholic issues, but I just touched on that with everything being about work. And other than that, like I said, the teachable moments, everything becomes a teachable moment. Again, as if you're an idiot and they're the smart one. So you should just sit back and listen because you're in class, and let me educate you. Let me school you, young buck, on what you need to know out here in these streets. So that would get rather annoying. But, yeah, so what are some of the bad things for you?
Well, wow, everything that you've touched on, I have definitely experienced in my dealings with a Capricorn rising man, talking about work all the time. Yeah, in the beginning of our relationship, the first couple of years, it was very disappointing to me because when you talked about creative people, I am a very creative person. Yes, I'm very grounded and earthy with all my Taurus energy, but I have a lot of creative energy too. So, you know, and I'm a fifth house Pisces moon, so I'm very romantic, and I want to talk about romance and dreams and, you know, what do you believe in, and look up at the stars and all that stuff. And I tried to have moments with him, and it turned into him just talking about work, problems at work. And then it was like, okay, let's go in the house now. Yeah, then it was
Go
like,
ahead,
let's go
I'm
in the
sorry.
house now. And I'm like, it's all right. But yeah, I tried to have moments with him, like looking at the stars and talking about romance and dreams. No, it was everything was work, talking about work, complaints about work. Then, okay, let's go inside now. And I'm like, that was not romantic at all. Also, Capricorn men, as I mentioned earlier, they're not about big public displays of things that they think are silly or sloppy or Capricorn is a sign of the reputation. The sign of the reputation. So anything they feel that can ruin their good reputation of being an outstanding citizen, and and to them, to a lot of Capricorn men, public display of affection, like being really affectionate, making out in public, they don't like stuff like that. They think it's childish, it's nasty, it's immature, it's it's embarrassing. People are looking at us. Mm-hmm. Yes, people are looking, like that's what my man would say. A lot of times, but people are looking at us, and it's not the right time. That's one problem that we had in the beginning too. After we got really serious, was my biggest complaint was him saying it's not the right time, because I'm very romantic and spontaneously romantic, and I don't really care who's looking. In fact, a fifth house moon wants to show off their love interest, and look at us, we're so cute and romantic, but he was not like that. He wasn't having that. We would be walking somewhere, even if there's nobody around. We're in an empty parking lot. I would try to just surprise him, just pull him to the side, just kiss him, and he'd be like, no. I'm like, okay, that's enough. And I'm like, what the And I'm like, why not? It's not the right time. And I'm like, damn it, Father Time. I don't give a crap about what time it is, who's looking. Mm-hmm. Love knows. I had to remind him all the time, love doesn't know time. Romance doesn't know time. It doesn't care. Like, I'm Neptunian. I don't care about time. Time. Not the right time. I hated that so much. So if you're a very, like mushy romantic person, Capricorn men are usually not the mushy romantics. They won't surprise you with all these big bears and balloons at your job, like with them walking in, here, babe. They're not going to show you off on Facebook, like, ooh, smoozy bougie, look at pictures of us kissing and making out with our tongues sticking out. Like, Capricorn men are not down with that stuff. And once again, it's not bad if you don't care for that stuff too. Bravo, you need to get with a Capricorn man. But if that's what you like, you may be disappointed because of that, because they're not really like that. Also, if you're creative, Apollonia hit the nail on the head with that. Like, for an example, I have always had some sort of creative hobby that I tried to turn into a business besides working at a regular job. It's like I'm usually like a person who works in a corporate finance job by day, but by night I do stuff with like video production, DJing. I used to dance, be a hip hop dancer, and I did try to turn stuff like that into a business, photography, all that stuff. And during a time when we were struggling financially, it was during the recession, it was hard for me to find a job. My man was not understanding of the fact that when I got a gig to DJ at for money, that is my job right now. It's a job. He would stop me while I was trying to load my equipment and get ready for this gig. It was a wedding and all this stuff. And he'd be like, oh, can you do this for me? And I need you to do this. I'm like, do you not understand? I am getting ready for work. And he'd look at me puzzled, like, and baffled, bewildered. And I'm like, yes, I enjoy, this is playing music, but this is work. There's actual work that goes into this. I'm bringing home money. And it was very difficult for him to understand, especially when I switched to being a full-time astrologer very recently. It's been a little bit straining, to be completely honest, being with a Capricorn man, because there's sometimes where he falls back and he doesn't completely see my vision and me having faith in this, He still struggles with that. He is very supportive now because we've been together for years now, but we still struggle because he's like, doesn't really completely see it as a real job, and he's like, I'm just going to have to trust you. I'm like, yes, you are. Okay, you don't see this, but this is real. And yeah, if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. I wanted to point out one of my all-time favorites, DJ Quick. He is a Capricorn. He made that song, Dollars and Cents. That is the chorus. If it don't make Dallas, you know the rest. That is one of my favorite diss songs of all time. Yes. So DJ Quiz of Capricorn, he'll tell you if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. So if you're a musician or a painter, you just kind of want to be a floating hippie artist, and you don't have a stable, steady income, a Capricorn man is going to look down upon you for that, unless he is more of the traditional type, like, okay, I'm the man, I'm going to pay all the bills, you're the woman, you can just do, whatever. But if he expects you to have a job, and that's another thing, Capricorn men, they really like the idea. A lot of them, if they're not the traditional, like, woman, you stay home and cook barefoot and pregnant, then they're going to be the type that if you work too as a woman, they want to be the power couple. They want to be like Jay-Z and Beyonce. They want to be, that's just one example, okay? Not literally all Capricorn men want to be them, but they want to be a power couple. They want both of you guys to have successful careers. And, I mean, look at Tyrese. He just got married recently. He's been bragging about his new wife in the media. She has her master's degree. He is so proud of that woman's master's degree because he's attached. And she
owned a business by the time she was 24, and boy, bye.
Yeah. He is so proud of her accomplishments. So a Capricorn man is really going to dig. They dig a woman that's more like into climbing the ladder of success along with them, and they don't quite like, for example, another personal experience. I'm very Uranian in nature. If you don't know what that means, I'm non-traditional when it comes to a lot of stuff, and that includes with jobs. A Capricorn man is like, I will do anything to serve the company and for the greater good of the company, and they'll be at their company for years. Like my man always says, I will stick with my company until the wheels fall off. That's one of his most famous sayings. And he's been there for like over a decade, and they love him. He is so accomplished and great. And I'm like, clap, clap, good for you. You can say left, right, left, yes, drill sergeant, for the sake of the good of the company. But I say, F your company. I'm here for me to make a paycheck. Back off me, boss. Okay, I don't need nobody micromanaging me. And he does not get it. He's like, I don't understand why you can't just because I'm not a Capricorn. Like, I'm not traditional. I'm all about having my own and being independent. They're more like left, right, left. You must follow the book and follow the rules, and that goes into play with them with, like you said, the condescending remarks. And what I really struggle with Capricorn men is, yes, everything has to be a lecture and a lesson. They will stare at you at what you're doing and see what you're doing wrong, and then it's not like, oh, here's honey, let me show you. It's like, what are you doing? Here, let me do it for you. You do it this way, and you do it, and then it's by the book and all this militant crap, and it's like, oh my God, like, that could be a really big turnoff for some women, and really put us down. And I know a woman who is dating a Capricorn man, and she says he is older than her. He is 10 years older than her, but she says that he says stuff like, "Look here, little girl." When they get in an argument, he says that.
Sounds
Look
about
here,
right,
little girl, and you need to respect your elders. And it's like, wait a second, I thought we were husband and wife. Like, we're supposed to be equal,
we're equal.
Exactly. So, yeah.
Not in their minds. Yeah. Very true. And you mentioned something that I remember. It caused me to remember. Yes, Cappies they hate being embarrassed. Now that I can agree with. I don't like being embarrassed in public. But Cappy men, they will literally walk away from you and act like they don't know you. They hate being embarrassed. And public displays of affection, they hate that shit. And I have a mini story about that. Now, my ex, he was military. And one of his deployments, they came home, and just like you guys have probably seen on TV, they have the families waiting in this big gymnasium, and the buses are supposed to pull out back, and the soldiers come in like from the side doors or whatever. So everyone comes in, including my ex-husband's best friend at the time. And I see him, and he's hugging his wife, and I'm like, I'm seeing all the guys that he hangs with, but know him. So I asked his friend, I'm like, where's Ken? And he's like, oh, wow, he was just standing next to me. I don't know what happened. So I started calling his phone because now that they were back home, they could turn their phones back on because their cells didn't work, or it was really expensive overseas. But anyway, I'm calling his phone. I'm like, where the hell are you? And he's like, oh, I just stayed out at the bus to get my bags and just meet me at the car. And I'm like, I get to the car, and mind you, I'm really pissed off because I'm like, wow, I haven't seen you in a year and some, and you don't even want to see me. You just want to get your shit and go to the car. Well, those lines were going to be long for everybody to get their bags, and I didn't feel like all that kissing and mushy shit and all of that in there. What? Typical Capricorn. Yeah, that's Cappy for you. He didn't want to deal with all of that public display of affection, people kissing and hugging. He didn't want to deal with all of that. That was just way too much. It was really weird and annoying for me, but yeah, it's like Cap Moon is probably just a little too dull. And then we had issues with romance and things of that nature. So once before, I mailed him a romance book or something. Like, it was like 100 tips to woo your woman or something like that. It was a really cool book that I sent over to him. So anyway, when he came home and he was unpacking his stuff, and I was like, well, hey, what happened to that book that I sent you while you were overseas? Because I would send him like care packages and stuff. And he was like, oh, I gave that to my lesbian battle buddy. She said that she loved the book. What? Motherfucker, I sent the book for you to read. Your ass needs to read it. I'm sure she has no problem getting chicks. You need to read it.
Oh, wow.
You are the one that's brain dead when it comes to anything romantic. So, yeah, that was a major issue. So, yeah, you brought both of those things to my mind when you mentioned them. So, that can be a problem. So, now, moving on to the scandalous. Do you have any scandalous stories that you may want to share?
Wow, I really don't. Capricorn men are, as we mentioned, they are the sign of the reputation. They don't like embarrassment. They can be pretty private about their personal life, especially when things are going wrong in their life. They are one of the few signs that will kind of hide out from the world, or they will just keep marching on, going to work and everything, like everything's fine, even though their world may be in shambles, or things aren't, like I said, things aren't going right, or, and because they're not all about that sloppy PDA, they're not about all this open shows of romance. A lot of dirt that they do, like, say, for example, Capricorn is a sign of the CEO and the boss and, the corporate world. The only thing scandalous I can think of, I don't have any personal stories, but is maybe they may be the type that's more likely to be like in a career, like a big time career, and have wifey at home,
white collar crime.
Yes, and then they have this cute, secretary in the office, and she handles things for him, and he may find her attractive and be creeping with somebody at work because he's always at work. And maybe because he has, like, Capricorn is a sign of status, so maybe some of these men are more susceptible to having, like, a really high status and career, and they feel so, like, empowered and, like, powerful that they may, have different women be living kind of like a double life, because they're always working and at the office and on these business trips all the time. While wifey is at home just playing her traditional role, so they may be the ones to creep and keep it very discreet and on the down low, and because and they can use work as a disguise for some of their marital crimes, I guess.
Yeah, I would definitely say that they are the sign most likely to have a mistress, a lot of times because they can afford it. They don't mind paying hush money because Capricorns are very secretive people. They will pay you just to shut the fuck up and get out of their face. So they are prone to having a double life or secret things that people don't know about them. Their business colleagues don't know about them, something that will probably throw somebody totally off if they knew about them. They are very prone to white-collar crimes or paper crimes, or I forget what the term is called, but, crimes done on paper that you would think wouldn't get past a typical person. Like they could be embezzling money or doing some bank fraud type shit. Like they could be into paper crimes, and it's all due to the mighty dollar. Another thing I noticed about a Cap that I went out on a date with before, he had his master's degree in teaching, very intelligent, bright guy, but he told me that he did tell me, I want to say on the second date, that he had a felony, because I asked him, like, you have a master's in education. How come you work for Apple? He worked for Apple at the time. And usually Capricorns can be very honest people. If you ask them a question straight up, they'll usually give you a straight up answer. And he said, yeah, well, I work for Apple because Apple gives felons a second chance, as if nothing is on their record. And, of course, I inquired about what, and he told me that he had a felony because he had a felony for tampering with government documentation. Now, supposedly the documentation was some type of insurance fraud or scam or something. So this points to, like I was saying, the on-paper scams and frauds. They can be prone to being involved in some shit like that. Something that the average person typically gets away with, because he was like, yeah, we were doing it for years, and even to this day, I'm still the only one out of the bunch that got caught. And it was like him and his frat brothers that was doing all of this shit. But it makes sense that he's probably the one that got caught with that Scorpio moon. But yeah, so him and his college buddies were into these scams, and he always talked about how the money really put him through school and stuff like that. And he didn't have to do any jail time, but this felony was pretty much was going to be on his record for the rest of his life. And he had a master's in education to teach middle school and high school. In the state that we lived in, they didn't care what felony it was. You couldn't be in the school teaching children with felonies. Even if it was like a felony for spilling chewing gum, they looked at that as if you were some type of pedophile or some shit and you couldn't be around children. So he was very passionate about teaching kids, yeah. And due to his record now, he couldn't pursue his passion. So this is a teachable moment that Capricorns can be very passionate about teaching when they do it the right way and not in a condescending way, because they make excellent teachers, but he lost his opportunity to do that. So, yeah, I wanted to share that story, but that was what I had to say, I guess, about them being scandalous. I really haven't heard any crazy-ass, sick, twisted, demented stories, unless he's a Capricorn with addiction issues. And, of course, addictions can drive any person up the wall. But Capricorns can have issues with addiction. You know, they say Capricorns are part fish. So Capricorns can have drinking problems. Their drug of choice may be drinking, being part fish. And I know Capricorns are the most emotional out of the 3 earth signs, even though they may not show it. They more so internalize a lot of that emotion. And, if you're dating a Cap, he most likely will not like to hear you cry around him. He's really not going to be good at coddling or consoling you. He rather give you actionable steps on how to fix the problem so you can stop crying, so that he won't have to deal with that.
You know, I have stories about that. I have complained to you about that.
I've seen a meme before of how Capricorns nurture. And it's like this person with their glasses on and their legs crossed, and they're like, so what can I do to make you shut the fuck up?
You know what? I saw a meme that was like, and I think it was shared in probably an astrology group, where a person is sitting there crouched and they're crying, and then there's a person like kind of far away from them, and they have a broom, and they extended the broomstick out. They're touching the person with the broomstick, like they're there, like from a distance. Yeah. I'm like, that, I can relate to that. I can totally relate, because there have been times, where I have cried due to, really depressing things, being very depressed for major life transformational things. Or one time, actually, a really good friend of mine, he passed away very tragically, very sudden. I got the news while I was at work through like a text message, and it was very disturbing. And so I ran out of the office crying, and I called my man. That's the first person I call, crying to my man. Oh my God, my friend, he's dead, this and that. And he's like, well, what happened? Of course, I'll voice just no emotion, what happened. And I told him what happened. And, my friend, he wasn't really involved in the best lifestyle. That's all I'm really going to say. And that ultimately led to his demise, unfortunately. But that was still, that's actually, this friend of mine, he was a Taurus. Our birthdays are only a few days apart, but his moon is in Capricorn. So he was like, we called each other cousins, even though we were not blood related. So there's that third house Cap family thing. He was family to me. We grew up since we were 12 years old. I love that man, and he was gone. Long-time friend, and all my man said was, well, that's what happens when you live that kind of life and make those kind of choices. That was his way of consoling me over the death of pretty much a family member. And I hung up on him. I hung up. I said, you know what? I got to go. Click. And I called other people that could, emotionally relate to what I was going through, other extended family members. And they, I talked to them and said, I love my man. We have a great relationship. But when it comes to, I can't cry to him. Like you said, a Capricorn man will be like, well, I mean, what can we do to fix the problem? To just, keep it moving. I mean, Like, oh, my God, seriously, like, I'm crying. Just tears. Like, do you understand tears? You comprehend these. They really don't. They're just, like, back to work. And another thing is the last job that I work at, the one that I just quit, my boss was a Capricorn moon. And Capricorn men can be very no nonsense, no excuses. Okay, so that's an admirable trait to have if you need someone, like we mentioned earlier, who is stable and steady and helps to keep the family financially secure. They can keep things moving along. They're like rocks and mountains just standing there unmoved by things, which is great. But, when it comes to having somebody be understanding about situations and flexibility, Capricorn men won't do it. My boss was very insensitive. It was mainly women on my team under him, and he was so insensitive towards us. It didn't matter what we were going through. He would still expect us to come to work. I had like a family emergency one morning, and I was running late because I was with my family until 1 o'clock in the morning, got 4 sleep, woke up late. But I called him. I was like, I'm running late. There's this thing that happened in my family, and it's, very disturbing. And he's like, just come see me when you get in. So I went to his office. I talked to him about it when I went in, and I tried not to get emotional, but I was still kind of emotional when he asked me what's going on. And, of course, he was just like, well, are you okay to be at work? Yeah, I'm cool. I'm a tourist. I'll keep trucking, keep it moving. But still, like, he was still, it's always like, well, so are you still coming into work? Like, like, you're still going to work? I mean, I saw a meme one time that I actually shared on my Facebook for my astrology. It showed someone's truck being, like, covered in snow and ice. Like, it obviously wasn't able to move, right? And it was like, the meme said something like, bosses be like, you're still coming in today, right? Like, even though you got snowed in. And I shared that during Capricorn season, and I'm like, hey, everybody, it's Cap season. Your bosses may be like this. You're still coming into work, right? You, like, covered in snow and shit. We don't care. Like, find a way to get here. Like, it's always,
you can be laid up in the ER bed, and they'll still be like, are you still coming to work?
Oh, my God. And then one of my friends, her father, I don't know his birth data. I know he's a Scorpio sun, but just being able to intuitively read him, I know he's a Capricorn somewhere. He's a very traditional man. He owns his business. He's a CEO. So my friend works for her father. You would think, oh, lucky girl. She gets to have all these lucky breaks working for her dad. No, her dad is very no nonsense. When she was giving birth, there was no maternity leave, okay? She had to beg him to have a little bit of time off. And we were joking and saying, I was like, your dad is probably going to set up a fax machine in the delivery room, isn't he? Or a computer or laptop. She's like, I think he is expecting that. Like, no joke.
Oh,
there
my
are,
God.
no days off. There's no vacation time. They have to beg him, like, for stuff like that. He's not very flexible, even with his own children. So I know there's some Capricorn in that man's chart, for him
to
be no nonsense. Yeah, like, you're crying and girly shit. He doesn't care. He does not care. So that can be a bad thing if you are a woman who's very feminine and sensitive. Capricorn men are not very sensitive to your needs, or they may kind of be for a minute, and then they'll say, okay, so moving along, or they'll act like they didn't hear you. My boss did that a lot. He would act like I would say, well, I'm going through this, or this is going on, or since they're very no excuses, no nonsense, he would act, it's like he didn't hear shit that I said. He would skip over that and go into nitpicking at me. Since they are about time, they're ruled by Father Time. They're very picky about time, and they will lecture you about your time usage a lot, even if you're their woman or their wife. You need to utilize your time a little more wisely. And I'm like, get the fuck out of my face, man. Like, you're supposed to be home and comfort. Like, I hear that shit at work. I don't need to hear it at home. You looking at your watch, because Capricorn men love their watches, looking at their watch. Oh, you see, it's, 15 minutes past, and you should... Like, look, man, you're not my boss. You're not my dad. Get out of my face with that shit, okay? Go look at your watch over there somewhere to yourself.
Yes, I agree. And if you want to avoid a lot of hiccup and you're with a Capricorn guy, err on the side of caution when it comes to doing business with them or being a power couple or business couple, because he can easily go between husband and tyrannical boss. And that's another scandalous side of the Capricorn man, that it's hard for him to shut down his business side. It's like a switch that never goes off. So that whole whenever I would watch New Jack City and the character Nino Brown, that was definitely some Cap energy in Nino Brown.
in Wesley Snipes' character, Nino Brown, because anybody can get it when it comes to a dark-sided Cappy. They will step on whoever, wherever. Like when Nino Brown dumped a drink on his fiance, cancel that bitch, I'll buy another one. That's Cappy. That's dark-sided Cappy. When he would always say, it's business, it's never personal. That's Cappy. It's everything is strictly business. So it could be their wife, their kids, their mama. Yeah, so I was watching, I forget what reality show I was watching, something about flipping homes or something, and the guy was doing the house for his parents, and he was telling his parents about the budget, and if y'all don't have the money, we're not doing this and that. Like I said, oh my God, this guy is some Cappy somewhere. It was one of those HGTV shows. I can't remember which one, but yeah, so err on the side of caution when you do business with Capricorn men, whether it be your spouse or your father or your brother or your cousin, because when it comes down to it, it's business, and the personal relationship is going to be kicked to the side. I think Jill Scott, her first husband, that was her manager, he was a Capricorn, and she spoke about that one of her older interviews that she did when they first split up. Not the guy that she had a child with, but the man that she married that was her manager. And Jill Scott is an Aries, and she mentioned that they would butt heads because she's an Aries and he's a Cappy, and it was just too business-like, and she said she never wanted to deal with a relationship like that again. And, of course, her not being astrologically savvy, she isn't thinking that already Aries squares Cap. And a Capricorn man being your boss or your manager, that can be very hard. When you guys, say if you guys are in the office and you're arguing about business or you're talking business as business partners, and you're angry about it, and now you take that shit home, and you're like, okay, now we're husband and wife. In a Cappy's mind, they're like, oh, hell no, I'm still mad about that business shit, because that's their life. The business part is their life. So think about that.
Yeah.
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 So let's see. Well, we're light on callers tonight. No callers tonight, so this will be a perfect teachable moment.
Yes, it
teachable moment. Let me see if I can shout out some famous Cappies before we bring this to a close. One of my favorite Cappy musicians is LL Cool J. If I'm not mistaken, Judge Greg Mathis, how he's very, let me tell you what your problem is. If you ever watched his court show, I think Judge Mathis is a Cap moon. Trying to think of some more famous Cappies. Let me just Google some really quick.
Okay. While you're doing that, I'll just list a few traits that I know of Capricorn men, of like the type of women they like too. I listed some earlier. So.
Oh, sure.
No. Yeah. So no flashy, no trashy, no extravagance and outlandishness. They think that stuff is silly. But also, since Capricorn rules the teeth, I know a lot of Capricorn men that say that they love a woman, like she has to have pretty teeth. Like I have a close guy friend who's a Cap rising, and you know he's always single, and he's always like, hook me up with somebody, and I'm like, well, what are you looking for? And it's always like, well, she's got to have pretty teeth, she's got to have goals, she's got to be working, you know. So yeah, those are definitely things to keep in mind. They love women with beautiful teeth. They will look at your teeth and your smile. That will probably be one of the first things that they're attracted to, you know, once they are interested in you, or if they're interested in you, they'll look at that. So ladies, if you're interested in dating a Cap man, make sure your grill is straight. Make sure you whiten those teeth. You have healthy gums. They will be paying attention to that. If you have a style that's very cheap, like you probably if you wear purses that look cheap and, you know, clothes that are cheap looking and stuff, they'll probably be turned off by that. Not saying you have to be Miss Fancy Pants wearing Gucci every day or anything like that, but it's just if you wear things that are obviously like there's a style that's too young for you, for example, they'll probably be turned off by that too. You know, they like a woman that looks more mature. So, yeah, that's about all. You find some famous caps?
Yeah, so Denzel Washington, I totally forgot about him. He's famous.
He's the ultimate
cappy.
Yeah.
Another famous cappy is Kevin Costner. If you guys remember him from, like, Bodyguard, he's been in a lot of movies. Mel Gibson is another famous Capricorn. Let's see here. This is interesting. These are all names. I'm running past names that most people wouldn't find familiar. Okay, Jim Carrey is a famous Capricorn. I suspect some Sag is probably there, how much he likes to laugh and giggle. Nicolas Cage is a famous Capricorn.
Interesting.
You already said. Yeah. I'm trying to think of anybody else noteworthy. Oh, Joe Manganiello. Oh, my gosh. Okay, so he played in Magic Mike. He also was the wolf on True Blood, if anybody follows that. He just married what is the lady's name? Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna find her name. He just married, is her name Vera something? Do you know who I'm talking about? I forgot. You don't watch TV, so you probably don't know.
Not really.
Let me see. I'm going to find her name really quick because I like her, and she's Cuban, and she's really pretty, and she used to be on, Sofia Vergara.
Okay, I know who she is.
Yeah, they just got married, 2015.
Oh.
He's really gorgeous.
And she's a Cancer.
Oh,
she's a Cancer.
He's a cat.
So that's a good match. Yeah.
Yeah.
She wants babies and family and all that stuff. So yeah, good match.
Yeah. So yeah.
Also Tiger Woods.
Oh yeah, Tiger Woods. James Earl Jones. He's been in the acting in the industry for a while. And a lot of these, as I'm looking through famous caps, these are guys that have had many, many years in the industry, which shows another thing of a Capricorn energy, the longevity. Oh, Marilyn Manson is a Capricorn, January 5th.
Interesting.
Yeah, I would have never thought he was a Cappy. But
you know he's got Scorpio somewhere, though.
Oh, he definitely does. Cuba Gooding Jr. is another famous Cap. Yeah, so these are people that have been in the industry a while, so they definitely keep it moving with their work. So yeah, but hopefully this episode wasn't too boring. You know, Capricorn men get the signature of being kind of boring. So many women say Capricorn men can be so boring because once you get them behind closed doors and they just want to read the Wall Street Journal and talk about money and business and money and business and work, I guess they can come off as a little boring. So hopefully this episode didn't bore anybody. And next week we're going to be back with, not next week, 2 weeks from now, we're going to be back with the good, the bad, and the scandalous of dating a Cancer man. So catch the replay. Shout out to the replay viewers if you're listening via YouTube or if you're streaming, especially our out-of-the-country listeners. What up to y'all? And I guess we'll close out with some more LL.
Ooh, you got another LL song?
Yeah, I do. One of my favorites.
Okay.
It'll be a surprise.
Ooh, I can't wait. Okay, so before we do that, I just wanted to say our website is coming soon. So we do have services that we offer. The whole Cosmic Council, we all offer astrological services. If you would like a reading, if you want to look at compatibility, look at anything, we look at everything. So, yeah, we do all offer services, astrological, numerology, and all that stuff. And just be on the lookout for our website. The Good, the Bad, and the Scandalous is coming to YouTube. The episodes are being uploaded. They should be done very soon. And made public, so you can listen to replays on there very, very soon. And that's about it. You know, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks for Cancer. It's going to be a pretty interesting show. I'm sure we'll get a lot of complaints.
Yeah. We're going to make some Cancers cry that day. All right. Until next time, guys. Thanks for listening.
Let's hear it for the girls who's from around the way.